I need us to first remember how to turn a whole number into a fraction. How to turn a whole number into a fraction. You simply make the whole number the numerator and put it over a 1. This is going to be of the essence when we start multiplying a fraction by a whole number. It is going to be super important. Okay? Evan, why do you have headphones on? So I need everybody to refer back to this, make sure that you know it. For example, if my whole number was 8, then my fraction would be 8 over 1. If my whole number is 2, then my fraction would be 2 over 1. If my whole number is 18, then it would be 18 over 1, and so on and so forth. Which we will need today when we do fraction times a whole number. Make sure that you're taking notes. Even if you're at home, you will need these notes to refer back to when you have to do your own assignment. I will also be assigning some extra work on Prodigy today. Not Prodigy. iExcel. It'll be 4th grade work. And I need to check in on y'all's science work on iExcel. Some of you are still having problems. But there will be some 4th grade review today that we're going to do on iExcel. Yes, Ziggy? Yes. There will be some review that we're doing today on iExcel with this multiplication. You're never going to be president now, Foster. So, if we had 1/2 times 2, now I don't know if you remember doing this in 4th grade or 3rd grade, but you could do 2 divided by 2 equals 1 times 1 is 1, and you could get the answer that way. But I'm showing you the actual way that we do a fraction times a whole number. Okay? So, step 1 is to set it up horizontally, which is different from if we're adding or subtracting. When we add or subtract, I want you to set it up vertically. But we talked about setting it up horizontally this way if we're multiplying. It doesn't matter which side the whole number is on. The second thing you're going to do is change the whole number into a fraction. Okay? So, how do I make 2 into a fraction? You make the whole number the numerator and put it over 1. Make the whole the numerator and put it over 1. You should remember that. Then you just bring down the rest of the problem. So we bring down a half. Step 4, multiply. And we should remember from yesterday how to multiply. How do we do that? Do y'all need a minute? Because you sure ain't talking. What I've done is put a box around the numerators and a box around the denominators. You don't have to do this step. I'm just doing this to show you during the example. Okay? So we remember when we multiply, we're going to multiply the numerator by the other numerator. And 1 times 2 is 2. Then we're going to multiply the denominator by the other denominator. 2 times 1 is 2. Now we have 2 halves. We remember that 2 over 2 is a form of 1. Or we could also say 2 divided by 2 is 1. So a half of 2 is 1. And we know that. If I gave you a 2 cookies and I said, what's a half of 2 cookies? It would be 1 cookie. Right? So let's do some examples. Let's say step 5 is simplify if needed. And we talked yesterday about simplifying. All right, so let's look at some examples. We were doing halves. Let me get back and watch, see, make sure. Halves, thirds, and fourths. There's halves, thirds. Let's do a third. 1/3 of 2. Now this one may end up being something, just a fraction, and you don't have to simplify it. Let's see. What's the first step? Make sure it's horizontal. Done. What's the second step? Change the whole number into a fraction. What is 2 as a fraction? 2 over 1. Done. What's the third step? Bring down the rest of the problem. 1/3 times 2 over 1. Done. Now what? Multiply. 1 times 2 is 2. 3 times 1 is 3. 2/3. Is it simplified? Yes. What rule can I see that lets me know that's simplified, Law? Consecutive. Explain that, please.
Basically, if numerator and denominator are after each other.
Counting order, you're right. Does it fit another rule?
The only common factor is 1.
Very good. So this is the consecutive rule and the only common factor is 1. Exactly, Law. Good job. Okay, moving right along. What about 1/4 times 16? What's the first thing I do? Make it horizontal. Check. What's the second thing I do? How do I do that? Check. Next. 1/4 times 16 over 1 equals. Check. What's next? Okay, 1 times 16 is 4 times 1 is. Now what? Do I need to simplify? 16 divided by 4 is 4. Boom. In that case, it did. Okay, but here, look at state of fraction. Here it went to a whole number. Okay, what about 1/2 of 7? It's horizontal. What do I do next? Change it to 7/1. Bring down the rest of the problem. Now what? 1 times 7 is? 2 times 1 is? 7/2. 2 goes into 7 how many times? 3 times. 3 times 2 is? 7 minus 6 is? 1. 3 and 1/2. How do I know that 2 is the denominator? Because it's the denominator here. Boom. I'm going to write some problems on the board for you, and then we're going to go over them together. Actually, I'll just write them right here so the people at home can see them. Just do them in your journal. Do 1/2 times 3. Do 1/2 times 5. Do 1/2 times 6. And do 1/2 times 11. There's 4 practice problems. Work on those. Here we go. Follow along. We turn 3 into a fraction by doing 3/1. 1 times 3 is 3. 2 times 1 is 2. That's 3/2. 3 divided by 2 is 1. And 1 left over. So, whole number. This is the remainder, so it's the numerator. Your denominator stays the same. 1 and 1/2.
Sorry.
What about 1/2 times 5? It would be 5/1. 1/2 times 5/1. 1 times 5 is? 2 times 1 is? 2 goes into 5 how many times? 2 times. 2 times 2 is 4. That's 1 left over. It's 2 and 1/2. What about 1/2 times 6? It would be 6/1. 1/2 times 6/1. 1 times 6 is 6. 2 times 1 is 6 divided by 2 is 1/2 times 11/1 would be 11/2. 2 goes into 11 how many times? 5 times 2 is 10. That's 1 left over. It'd be 5 and 1/2. Any questions on that? Okay, let's do a couple of examples of thirds. Thirds. Let's do 1/3 times 4. Let's do 1/3 times 5. 1/3 times 6. And 1/3 times 18. Okay. Work on those. We'll go over them in a minute. One third times what? 4/1 would be 4/3. 3 goes into 4 one time. 1 times 3 is 3. 4 minus 3 is 1. So it's 1 1/3. Later, more specifically, I'll show you a way to do this a different way. 1/3 times 5 would be 1/3 times 5 over 1, which would be 5/3, which would be 3 into 5, 1 time. That's 2 left over, 1 2/3. 3 goes into, let's see, 1/3 times 6 over 1. I about rushed ahead. 3 goes into 6 2 times. 1/3 times 18 over 1 would be 18/3. Does 3 go into 18 evenly?
Yeah.
How many times? 6 times 3. So the answer is 6. Okay, we're going to do some fourths and we'll be done. Yes, Caleb? Huh?
I'm hearing like slight little music.
Yeah, somebody's got music on and they will pay for that. Okay, the next set here. Let's do 1/4 times, let's do 5. Let's do 1/4 times 10. Let's do 1/4 times 18. And let's do 1/4 times 2. Work on those. Okay, let's go back over this one. It'd be 1/4 times 5 over 1, which would be 5/4, which would be 1 1/4. 1/4 times 10 over 1 would be 10/4. I'm going to work this one out. 4 goes into 10 2 times, I believe. 2 times 4 is 8. That leaves 2, which would be 2 2/4. And I can do something to that. I can put 2 over 2, which would be 2 1/2. 1/4 times 18 over 1 is 18/4. 4 goes into 18, I believe, 4 times, which would be 16, and that leaves 2. That'd be 4 2/4. Well, down here when I had 2/4, it was a half, so this is 4 1/2. This would be 1/4 times 2 over 1, which would be 2/4, and we already know it's a half. Any questions on multiplying a whole number and a fraction? Any questions? Very good. I need everybody to do me something.